Why do I think you need to know the bass line to play that funky music by Wild Cherry? I hate that song. I hate it till I play it, then I really like it, but that's beside the point. You need to know this bass line because there are two really useful concepts that are in this bass line that I think you can extrapolate a lot from, and it's a good skill tester. Okay, so let me hit the track. I'm going to play along to it for a second so you can hear the bass line of the verse, and then I'm going to play, I'll show you it isolated, and I'll show you why you need to learn it. I'll show you how to learn it, and then I'll show you how to extrapolate things from this. So let's get into it. Here we go. Live version was cooking, man. All right, so here's the bass line a little slower, okay? Probably at album tempo, or even maybe a little slower than that. Check this out. Okay? The first and big thing to pull out from that bass line is this little 16th note hammer-on. Okay, check this out. That thing right there, that's really, really useful. And most people can't play that clean. Let me show you why. This is what I hear when I hear most bass players try this bass line, including on the recordings, not that clean, but that's fine. That's fine. Still pretty clean on the recording and plenty funky. But playing this in even notes like this, 4 E and a 1. Notice that all the notes are even. It's in rhythm. It's not this. That's what I hear from a lot of people on that, and it's kind of a skill tester to let you know if you're ready to play hammer-ons or slurs in a way that's going to help your bass lines and your bass playing. Because if you can get slurs nice and even, you can make so much out of that. Okay, so let's go back to the song and make sure you have this clean. All right, so once again, the rhythm of that little set of slurs, those 4 notes, do-a-dee-a, is 4 E and a, and then we hit the E on 1. 4 E and a 1. This is just like a drum fill, like a drummer going da-da-da-da-ba, right? Don't, don't, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. That's exactly what we're doing on the bass, but controlling the is the key, okay? So first, if you're someone who has a decent control of hammer-ons, the first thing I'm going to show you is how to refine that set of notes so that it's clean as a whistle. If you're not ready for this stage yet that I'm going to show you now, I'm actually going to take it a step back from that to get you playing hammer-ons in general in the right way. So if you're more of a beginner, in a couple minutes I'm going to take another step back. But if you're kind of an intermediate player, I'm going to show you how to clean up those hammer-ons or your hammer-ons in general. So on this one, I love that it's those even 16th notes, do-a-dee-a-da, because what we're going to do is we're just going to play them with your left hand. So whether you play this with your index and your ring or your index and your pinky, it doesn't matter. What we're going to do is, I tend to play this with index and pinky because I got baby hands, but either way, what we're going to do is we're going to take the right hand out of it. We're just going to practice playing that 4 E and a with just the left hand, because the secret to smoothing this out and refining it is actually that your fingers have to seesaw a little bit in order to get to the notes on time and to connect the notes. We don't want space between these notes like this. Hear that? That space in between kind of makes it janky sounding. We want this. We want those notes to connect. So we're going to make them connect by practicing the left hand. Slow at first. Check it out. I'm going to go from my index to my pinky here. And I'm tapping the string hard enough to get a sound out of it. Don't let your fingers fly too much. They're going to lift off the string a little bit. Don't let them fly too much, okay? But still, they're going to have to seesaw. You'll notice that in order to get this clean, after you tap your pinky or your ring, your index is going to have to lift a little bit and head to the next string in order to connect the notes, okay? That throws a lot of people. So if you work on it with just the left hand only and force yourself to make sure that there's no space between the notes. Once I add the right hand and I coordinate it with the left hand, which I don't expect you to get in 3 minutes, but this is the end result. Right? Then I coordinate the right hand. Look at that. Clean as a whistle. When you can get those things clean, again, here's the little bit of extrapolation. Check out this fill. Instead of doing a fill that sounds like this. Ooh, I had a slur in there. Sorry, let me do it unslurred. Something like that. Adding slurs into your fills can make them sound more articulate and kind of hipper. Right? It just sounds still punchy, but it can sound really hip if you can control your hammer-ons like we're practicing in this song. That's why I love this bass line. Okay, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go to that. Let's dial it a step back, okay? Let's go to the technique you'll need in order to get up to clean hammer-ons. And like any other technique, if you're new to hammer-ons, I want you to get the mechanism down first. It's all about the mechanism between your hands, coordinating your hands and getting a feel for it. So what I'm going to have you do is, again, whether you're going to use index and ring finger for this or index and pinky, whichever you choose, it doesn't matter. But we're going to take those two fingers and we're actually going to practice a trill first. In order to get your hammer-ons, we're going to hammer on as many times as we can, as fast as we can. So we're going to try to get the fingers to twitch back and forth, okay? On this one, we're going to hold the index finger down on the fret, on the A. Let's trill between the A and the B here, all right? I'm going to practice the index and the ring myself, but feel free to practice index and pinky. We're going to pluck the A, and then you're going to trill the other finger as fast as you can. Getting used to the mechanism, and what you're looking for is for the finger itself to do a little moving, not just rocking we're not rocking the wrist like that. We're not doing that. It's the finger that lifts up and down. See that? Okay? Might give you a little workout in the hand. That's good. We need to get these muscles twitching, and then we need to refine it. So once you get a good feel for a trill like that, now I want you to slow it down and see if you can slow it down and make it in even rhythm. Check this out. I don't care what tempo it is, but can you hear how that's in rhythm? Taka, 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 taka. Try a different tempo. Try to slow it down even more. Okay, get it in rhythm. Now it's a matter of being able to get it in the right tempo. You know what I mean? In the tempo of the song. So now we're going to go to that. And the tempo is about taka 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 bum 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 ba 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 bum bum bum. So we want to be able to trill at that speed. Okay? So let's do a couple sets of trills here. Index and pinky. Here we go. About that speed. Ready? 1, 2, ready, and stop. 2, 3, 4. This is a good one to do with the metronome. Okay? Now, if you've gotten that far, okay, again, this is not one practice session. This is like practice this over time as you get it, of course. But once you get that far with this, then you can do both strings. Practice going back and forth, right? From the E string to the A string. Notice there's 2 plucks. Hammer, hammer. I pluck twice. Do-a-dee-a. Once you get it nice and clean, and you can do it a little faster, it might sound a little janky like this. That's when you go to the refining stage of just doing the left hand like we did before. And that'll refine it. Okay, it might take time, but this, like I showed before with that bass fill, hammer-ons are so important as a bass player. We got to be able to hammer on. We got to be able to hammer on in different rhythms and with different fingers and feel comfortable with it. And this song just does a great job of training that. That's why I love it. Now, in terms of the bass line itself, putting it all together, now we got to take that hammer-on thing and put it in context. And the hardest thing about this bass line is that there's a note that anticipates the hammer-on, right? It sounds like this. Hear that low E that I hit right before the hammer-on set? Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. When you're practicing this, and I'm not really going to get into detail about this, but when you're practicing this, that anticipatory note right there, that low E, has to anticipate the beat. Your hammer-ons, remember, are on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 40 and a 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 40 and a 1. Well, that E before it has to anticipate it. 1, 2, 3, a 40 and a 1. 1, 2, 3, a 40 and a 1. The hammer-ons are on the beat. That note is just before the beat. It's actually on the of 3, if you're able to subdivide that. And if you're not able to really conceptualize that yet, and you're just thinking, okay, that note just comes right before the beat, this would be a great thing to work on with me in private lessons. So email's in the description. Let me know if you want private lessons with me. Let's work on grooves. Let's work on this bass line. Let's work on all of it. But I love working on rhythm with people because that's the thing that sets you free on the bass. So shoot me an email. Let's talk. So anyway, back to the bass line. So that anticipatory note is really, really important. The part before it, the first part of the bass line, is pretty easy actually. 1 and 2 and 3, right? 1 and 2 and 3. You got to get it on the grid though. It's got to be precise. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay? Let's get the rhythm of this all. Ready? 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3. A 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3. And a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3. A 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3. A 4 and a 1. Okay? Everything on the grid in rhythm. But that's not really what I wanted to spend a ton of time on in this video. That's subject for another video. But that stuff's important, okay? As many of you are astutely aware, the chorus of this song is in a different key. It actually goes from E to G. G being our new root note. Play that funky music, right? It's in G, but it's the same bass line as the verse. Okay, so I'm not going to get into this in detail, but just so you know, like, it's the same pattern. It's got another one of those hammer-ons, but this is a great one to practice your hammer-ons, again, because it's a little different. It's going to feel a little different than the E minor hammer-on that we did before. It's the same rhythm, it's the same pattern, but check it out. I've got to hit that. My anticipatory note now is the G. I've got to bar these notes here, G, and then the hammer-on, and then it lands on G. All right, so that's just another level of practicing this technique. But before I go, the second thing I'd like you to extrapolate, though, from this bass line that I think is really kind of profound or like very helpful, it's a big concept, is the ending riff. The last riff right before you go back into the verse at the end of the chorus. Lay down and boogie and play that funky music till you die, right? Till you die. Ends on a low E. But anyway, that little riff there, which by the way, I just played it a little wrong, but I'm showing it to you that way because I just basically played the same notes that the vocals are playing. In the real bass line, the first note of that riff, which is very important to note because it's really random, is actually a C. It actually goes like this. Instead of, it goes, which is really weird. I always wondered if that was a mistake they made in the studio and they just decided to repeat it. But it sounds kind of good, so I kind of feel like the bass player did it on purpose. But anyway, that's the actual riff. But the reason I showed you this one that mirrors the vocals is I want you to check out this shape right here. I'm going to go up that shape. Check it out. I'm going to go down that shape. You see this little zig, zag, zig? This is part of a minor pentatonic pattern that actually can stretch 2 octaves. I like to call it the big zig, okay? But this is just a part of a bigger pentatonic pattern that you can use in every key. It sounds great in both major and minor keys. I'm probably going to make a video where I talk about how you can use it in both. But this zigzag pentatonic pattern is so useful. Notice what I just did there. I just improvised with it, right? This is one of those things where just like a drummer practices drum fills, we can practice bass fills that go from one section of the music or one phrase of the music into another using this pattern, okay? So for example, if I were to take that pattern of notes and extrapolate it into a rock song that's in the key of E minor, then I can make so many things out of that. Check it out. Just so many things. Into the bass line, instead of a fill, you can use it in bass lines. That little shape is such a doorway into so many licks and patterns. I don't know if you saw my video last week about how to learn 1,000 licks. How many can you pull out of that just in the key of E? E minor, not E major, just in the key of E minor. How many licks can you pull out of that? Like probably hundreds, literally hundreds. And this is just a small part of a bigger pentatonic pattern. Again, that I'd love to get into in another video, but that pattern right there, all coming from in fact, I'm telling you this because that's how I learned that pattern. I think we played an arrangement of this in high school jazz band or something, or maybe it was another jazz band I played. I can't remember, but this is way back when I was a more of a beginner bass player. I remember learning this lick and going, man, that works really well on the bass. I can use that places, and I started to use that lick, that shape, in other keys. And it works so well. It takes time to develop it in other keys, so just kind of work on it in E minor first. Use jam tracks, use a drum beat, a backing beat, and use small pieces of it too. And Not just small pieces, but mix up the notes as well. Like skip around the notes. Don't just go in order or... That's just the notes in order. Check out what happens when I start to mix notes up. Right? Skipping notes in the pattern will get you all a whole new set of ideas. So practice playing up and down the pattern, get it like really, really ingrained, and then start skipping around on it and making music out of it, and then start putting it in your bass lines, start using it in fills, and practice playing through it and landing, on the downbeat. But just that little idea right there at the end of Play That Funky Music, it's such a nice little riff that works so well on the bass. And that's the second reason why everybody needs to know this song. Also, if you're ever in a wedding band, or in any type of general business band, you will play this song until it is etched in your soul, somewhere in the dark shadows of your soul. I'm just kidding. It's a great song. It's a great song. It's a great groove. It just doesn't float my boat, but what a good one to learn. So if you have any questions, leave me a comment, leave me a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Get practicing, everybody. Enjoy your bass, and I'll see you on the next one.